Hi, this is Frank Scarcello with Thunder Bay Live at the Renaissance Cafe, and I'm with Frank Pullia, Councillor Frank Pullia, Chairman of the Budget Committee, and we're talking about the budget. So Frank, what I want to talk about is where the money comes from. As we know, property tax, I think you mentioned 60% of our revenue comes from property taxes. And we have a nice pie chart presented in the city package of where the money comes from. And I think when I look at that, we must be very grateful and happy that we own T-Baytel and that they generate $17 million a year for us. So my question to you is, thank God we have T-Baytel, because if we didn't have $17 million coming in, and that's something that not every city has, right? I think that's very important that we recognize that we do have that extra revenue, and on the flip side of that is, what if in the future, if that dividend were to change? If it could go up, that'd be great. But what if it starts to come down? Does that put the city in a bind?
We, as councillors, ask that question all the time.
All the time, eh?
T-Baytel Board of Directors makes a presentation to councillors every quarter. And the question is, don't tell us when things have already changed. Tell us before they change.
Anticipate.
And so far, T-Baytel has been one of the best moves the city has ever made.
Okay. Yep.
They continue to compete in an open, competitive environment and do well. Continue to grow.
So far, yeah.
And giving Thunder Bay and the region a great asset and the ability. I mean, they have connected most of the region.
Okay.
A private sector would have never done that, because there was no money to go into the region and connect. So now we have been able to attract professionals from all over the world who can work from a little island or from the backyard. And me as a consultant, I do that with other consultants across the country or internationally from my computer, because we have now high-speed access and fiber optics. So it's a great leverage that we have from both the servicing our community or from leveraging economic development opportunities.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that you guys asked, if something is, on the horizon, you guys want to know ahead of time. So far so good, and that's great. But at the same time, I'm wondering if, I feel like maybe we're extracting that 17 million from them, and they have been borrowing money lately. Is that a good thing? Are we handcuffing T-Baytel because the space that they operate in is super competitive? There is pressure all over the place for mobile rates to come down, and that's something that quite frankly I'm concerned about, because if we lose that $17 million, or not lose it, or it starts to come down, we're going to be in a real pickle. But like you said, you guys are in close contact with them, and hopefully they're giving you the right direction.
I understand the question, and we asked that.
Yeah.
Is that 17 million affecting your ability to compete? The answer is no. Because before they pay the dividend, they make sure they have enough money available for capital investment to remain competitive.
Yes.
So don't worry, we asked those questions.
Good. So again, thank God that we have T-Baytel. Now that is something that, when we compare, and I know everyone likes to compare tax rates. I know you are very vocal about saying, you've got to compare the right things, and absolutely, you don't want to compare apples with oranges. But that is one advantage that the city has that other cities don't have, is that little extra dividend from T-Baytel. So thank you, T-Baytel.
Correct, and if we didn't have T-Baytel, taxes would have gone up by 10%. Now remember, given all of that, and we were talking about it before, Thunder Bay is unique in many ways. So when we compare it to Sault Marie or Sudbury with one downtown, we have maybe three downtowns.
You're right.
We have two towns that became one city.
Absolutely.
We have the geographical dispersion of a city like Montreal. The cost of doing business in the city is higher, but it's very nature of that size. And that's why I'm saying we need growth. To have economies of scale. We talked about the water rates going up. If consumption goes down, and you have this huge fixed cost and infrastructure, roads, water, T-Baytel.
And I think a lot of people, Frank, it's a good message to get out. A lot of people understand that if it's a high-cost city, it's a high-cost city, and that's just the price that we will have to pay. But that doesn't mean that we don't, look at everything.
Absolutely not. We will continue to look for efficiencies.
Yes. The point I want to make now is your city manager started off the presentation, I think last week at City Council, with this a graphic, showing that the city has saved $5.2 million over the last year. I think it was called the City Lean Program. My feeling is $5.2 million on a $200 million budget is a shave for sure, but it's razor thin. You know what I mean? So I think people might want to see,
more. People expect more.
People are expecting more. I wouldn't be pounding, I would not be pounding the table because I saved 0.5, because that's not going to be a lot. But again,
look, if it's a lean program or it's called operational review,
yeah.
The question is, we need to always look at the way we run our operation.
Right.
There is no organization in the world, private, public, great or small, that does not need to do that, because the outside environment is continuously changing. Legislative requirement. The economy is changing. We were waiting for the boom from the Ring of Fire.
Okay.
Why didn't it materialize? But doesn't mean that we don't plan for the future when commodity prices change.
And I saw the decision packages that you guys have.
That means retooling your internal resources to match the outside environment. Okay. That's smart business. That's planning in advance, and that's called continuous improvement. And at the end of the day, in my experience has been that it produces results. So I agree with you. The people want to see more. There's more coming.
Okay, and that's great. We'll end it on that point, Frank. This is Frank Scarcello with Thunder Bay Live at the Renaissance Cafe, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.